My beautiful hometown of San Antonio, Texas. Proud president, as John mentioned, of the Bexar County Young Democrats, and I'm happy to be here with you today. Hope means different things to different people. For me, my hope began when my Dominican father and my Puerto Rican mother took a chance and had the courage to move here to San Antonio, Texas, and start a new life, and they never turned back. That gave me an opportunity. And hope is the seed that grows the American dream. The American dream is that opportunity. Tonight I'm so pleased to be with you and to introduce a man who truly embodies the American dream. A rising star in our party, and someone who has emerged as a new class of a leader for Latinos. Our speaker this evening has a humble story. And if you're not familiar with it, I'll share that with you. A second-generation Mexican-American, our speaker was born and raised here in San Antonio, Texas by his loving mother, Rosie Castro. He was raised on the tough streets of the West Side, which if you're from San Antonio, you would be familiar with those streets. They're not easy to grow up in. He and his twin brother, our San Antonio mayor, Joaquin Castro, proudly, they both proudly graduated from our local public schools. They went on, both of them, to Stanford University to graduate with honors, and then went on to Harvard Law School to get their law degrees. And if that wasn't impressive enough, they both chose to come back to their hometown and proudly serve their people. Today, having experienced America's dream firsthand, our speaker continues his fight in Congress as he builds what he calls the infrastructure of opportunity. For those of you that aren't familiar with that phrase, it includes good public schools, great universities, and a sound healthcare system that we can all, and our future generations, can rely on and can hold on to pursue our dreams, much like our speaker did. I hope that each and every one of you will take the opportunity to grow and nurture your dreams, thanks to the efforts of women and men like our speaker this evening. So without further ado, please give a Texas-sized welcome to a man who has been an inspiration to me, and I hope to you as well. From the 20th Congressional District of Texas, please welcome Congressman Joaquin Castro.
Like the brother.
Let me ask you, who's here from the West Coast? All right, how about the East Coast? The Midwest? Finally, who's here from Texas? Well, wherever you've come from, I want to say, first of all, to the leadership of the Young Democrats of America, thank you for having your conference in San Antonio. Thank you to each and every one of you who have traveled here to be with us. It's very special for our city and our state to be able to host the Young Democrats of America. And I think that you're going to find that San Antonio is a welcoming city. It is a democratic city. And I want to promise you this. The next time the Young Democrats come to Texas, this is going to be a blue state. Now, I know that you heard Monique's introduction, but I want to clear something up because every time I speak at home in San Antonio, after I speak, somebody always asks me, hey, Mayor, I like what you said about this and that. So, I want to be clear, I'm not the mayor of San Antonio. That's my twin brother, Julian. And I was fortunate enough to give the introduction for him as he was the keynote speaker of the 2012 National Democratic Convention in Charlotte last September. And so, just so that you guys are clear on who's who, I'll tell you that there's at least two ways to tell us apart. There's a quick way and an easy way. The quick way is that my brother's been very fortunate and blessed. He has a wonderful wife, Erica, who's a third-grade school teacher, and a beautiful 4-year-old daughter, Karina. Some of you may have seen her flipping her hair like a Barbie at the convention. So right now, my brother has a wedding ring and I don't. However, about 6 weeks ago, somebody actually agreed to marry me. So, so for the next year or so, you can tell by the ring on the left hand. But when I do get married, there will be only one way to tell us apart, and that is that I'm a lot better looking than my brother. I'm just kidding with you. I want to say a sincere thank you to everybody who's traveled here to be with us. And I look forward to meeting many of you, to joining you for some of the sessions, hopefully. I know my brother is anxious to speak to you on Saturday. And the reason that we're so excited that you're here is because both Leon and I believe and know that you are the future of America. Not only the future of the Democratic Party, but the future of America. And with that brings many responsibilities. And I think most of all, it means that in the coming years, it will be you and your generation that will make sure that 50 years from now and 100 years from now, when somebody asks the question of a person overseas, when that person is asked, where in the world would you like to live? That the answer is still the United States of America. In order to achieve that answer years from now, it means that we have to be true to certain fundamental values that right now the Republican Party isn't necessarily upholding. And I want to tell you what those are real quick. The first one is freedom. I think all of us agree on that. We know this is a city that's nicknamed Military City, USA. Once upon a time, we had 5 military bases in San Antonio. We still have 3 military bases. So it's meant that there have been a lot of parents who literally have sent their sons and daughters off to fight in war, never to see them come home. So as many American communities, San Antonio knows the high price of freedom, the price that's been paid to keep Americans a free people. So freedom is the first one. The second one is democracy. The fact that because we're a free people, all of us get to elect our leaders, and when we no longer agree with how they're representing us, we kick them out of office. That is democracy, the ability to select your government. But it's the third part that I want to talk to you about today. And it's the third principle, the third value that I think distinguishes today's Republicans from Democrats. And depending on how this last value is carried forward, that will determine whether 50 years from now and 100 years from now, when somebody asks the question, where in the world would you like to live? The answer is still the United States of America. You see, I believe that freedom and democracy have a purpose. Think about this for a second. Each of us, you and I, could technically be free, living by ourselves, unbothered by anyone else, in a jungle or a rainforest or a desert, all by ourselves, left alone. But when we think of freedom in America, is that really what we picture? Being completely left alone, untouched by society. I would argue that freedom and democracy have another purpose in America, and that purpose is to pursue opportunity. You see, the beauty of America is that as Americans, we have come together over the years to build what I call an infrastructure of opportunity to help each of us achieve our American dreams. And let me tell you what I mean by that. See, just as there is a system of streets and roads and highways that helps each of us get to where we want to go on the road, in America, there is another kind of infrastructure that helps each of us get to where we want to go in life. And that is an infrastructure of opportunities. Great public schools and universities, a strong healthcare system, including Obamacare. So if you get sick or disabled, you don't become disabled or die. And finally, an economy that's built around well-paying jobs so that when people put in a hard day's work, they can do it and support themselves and their family members. Those are the building things of the infrastructure and opportunity in America that has helped distinguish our nation from other nations of the world. You know, I think about my own family story and the story of so many others. My grandmother, Victoria, came here as a 6-year-old orphan. She came here because she had no choice. Both her parents had died during the time of the Mexican Revolution, and the closest relatives who could take her in were not in Mexico, but in Texas, here in San Antonio. That's how my family ended up here. My grandmother, like many in her generation, never made it past the 4th grade. She never got a high school degree. And because she never had a formal education, my grandmother worked as a maid, a babysitter, and a cook her entire adult life, really to do 2 things: to get by for herself and to do everything that she could to build a better life for my mom, her only child, and for her grandsons. The reason that I share that story with you is not because I think it's special or unique to my family, but because that is the story of so many of our families. Not just Mexican Americans, but the Europeans who came here in the 1800s, Asian Americans who settled in California and New York and Houston, so many other places. It's the story of African Americans who have struggled to make a better life throughout the generations. That is the story of America. Each generation doing every single thing that it can to get by for itself and to prosper, and most of all, to build a better future in this country for the generations to come. That is the America that you must uphold. That is what is entrusted to you as a young Democrat, to continue to stand for the values and the principles that will make this nation special among the nations of the world. And that's not going to be easy. You see, we are competing with a party that doesn't always see things that way. This is no longer the party of Abraham Lincoln or Ronald Reagan. This is the party of Rush Limbaugh. This is the party of Wayne LaPierre. This is the party of Texas Senator Ted Cruz. You know, I was in New Jersey. Is there anybody here from New Jersey? I was in New Jersey a few months ago, and one of the special things about this job in Congress, I've had a chance now to travel to different state party dinners and conventions. I was in South Carolina a few months ago with Jim Clyburn. I was in Indiana with some good Democrats in Indiana. Over in New Jersey, I'm going to New Mexico and Maryland over the next few months.